There is a loss of jobs in South Africa. In fact, from load shedding to job shedding.
I must call a pastor to take you out now.
German card. Uya ngapha. Uya ngapha. Take your seat.
You must make sure that you are one of the people who are going to deliver economic freedom in our lifetime.
Thank you very much, the people of South Africa, Africa, and the world for tuning in. This is the EFF Podcast, and my name is Titus Tsungwer Kozaramsengo Natwalek, and we're coming to you from Winnie Madikizela Mandela House here in Johannesburg. In today's episode, I'm joined by fighter Mpanga Zita Carl Niehaus, is the EFF MP. He joins me now. Fighter Mpanga Zita, allow me, as a loyal ground force of the EFF and a loyal member of the EFF in good standing, to welcome you to the EFF Podcast.
Good day, Titus, and allow me to greet you as a good standing member of the Economic Freedom Fighters who has renewed my membership and who is clear that I'm a member of the Economic Freedom Fighters, that I'm committed to the 7 cardinal pillars of the
Unequivocal.
EFF. You know I love the word unequivocal. And I unequivocally support our Commander-in-Chief and President of the EFF, President Julius Malema.
Yeah, I should rush to Polokwane as well to renew my membership in my branch.
You better make sure that your membership is
It's in
renewed.
good standing.
And you better make sure that you roll up your sleeves and work hard. Because the message that we got from the Commander-in-Chief when he spoke at the Orlando Community Hall was that we are going to build, we're going to act with loyalty, we're going to make sure that the Economic Freedom Fighters from here during this difficult period, because yes, it is a difficult period, we don't need to deny it, will build itself into an even stronger organization. That out of the challenges that we are faced with now will come better strength, more clarity about the real members of the Economic Freedom Fighters, who is truly a loyal member of the EFF, who is truly prepared to work, who is truly prepared not to go for positions, not to work for personal ambition, but to work for the advancement of the people of this country, for the establishment of a truly democratic, workers-based, pro-poor organization that will bring economic freedom in our lifetime. Those were all the reasons. As I mentioned them now, I was counting them off in my head.
Sure.
Those were all the reasons why I decided so deliberately to join the Economic Freedom Fighters. Those reasons have not changed. There's been no ideological shift. There's been absolutely no ideological reason for anyone to leave the Economic Freedom Fighters. So, the one thing we must be
There's no
absolutely
ideology in there.
clear
Yeah.
that the reason that Floyd Shivambu, Mzwanele Manyi, and others left could not be for ideology, could not be for sound politics, because the EFF has not changed. So it must be something else. And that else, when I look at it, and I'm not here tonight to come and use this precious time that we want to talk to the membership, to the fighters of the EFF, to waste it on attacking other people. But I do think this point must be made, that it could not be for ideology. It could not be for political commitment. It had to be for personal advancement and personal ambition, for opportunism. Not so long ago, you had Mzwanele Mani in this chair where I'm sitting now.
Laughing the loudest.
And he said, ha, ha, ha. That laugh, when we look back now with the wisdom of hindsight, is a laugh of opportunism, is a laugh of someone who engaged in the economic freedom fighters for personal advancement. And the moment the personal advancement disappeared, the commitment disappeared. The political understanding and ideology disappeared. And poof, like mist without substance before the sun, he was gone. And that is what our commander-in-chief was talking about on Thursday, on Monday, actually, when he addressed us. He was addressing us on the fact that we need to be principled fighters, that we mustn't be there for our own self-advancement and own self-promotion, that our aim is there to work for the people and to build on the principles that the economic freedom fighters stand for in the founding manifesto and in the 7 cardinal pillars. And one of the things that was very important in that very seminal speech that our commander-in-chief gave, he went into the organizational matters that need to be addressed. It was not a speech that was opportunistic. It was a speech that was organizational. It was a speech that said, yes, we suffered a loss, but the time for mourning is over. Now is the time for hard work.
Yeah.
And I think there was great wisdom in the announcements that our commander-in-chief made that the organizational renewal program that was under Floyd Shivambu is being scrapped. Because you do not proceed with an organizational program that was actually created by someone who proved himself not to be able to stay the course, who was not prepared to act in terms of ideology, but to act in terms of personal and self-advancement. So the organizational process that goes forward now is going to be based in the presidency. And we are looking forward to strong leadership from our commander-in-chief, from our Secretary General, who's now also the Chief Whip of the EFF in Parliament, in the National Assembly.
Yeah.
And we are looking forward to the mobilization of our ground forces. And there's immediate work that we need to do. There are by-elections, for instance, here in Johannesburg. There's a by-election in Ward 87. There are other by-elections in Lenasia, in Tshwane, and many other areas. We need to test our strength. We need to engage with our support base. We need to reach out to every South African and say to them, here we are. We are the economic freedom fighters of yesterday, of today, and tomorrow. We stand for the same principles that we were formed and founded on.
Absolutely.
11 years ago. We will not change. We continue to commit ourselves to be the liberators of this country, the only truly economic emancipatory movement in South Africa. And I say that very deliberately, even within the spectrum of the progressive left. The EFF stands as the ideologically sound, strong, true economic emancipatory movement.
Absolutely.
The true Fanonist, Marxist movement in South Africa.
Not flip-floppers.
Not flip-floppers.
The CIC, Comrade Carl, on Monday addressing the Ground Forces Forum, he clarified the fact that the EFF remains intact. In fact, it remains focused on its generational mission.
Yes.
And now he also cautioned that we need to guard against opportunism and self-enrichment. Then how do we then now go about ensuring that we safeguard the economic emancipation movement going forward from the likes of people who come and laugh the loudest and just singing for their supper? How do we guard against such?
You know, action speaks louder than words.
Mhm.
So we're going to look at what people are doing within the organization. Are they organizationally grounded? Do they renew the EFF membership? Do they work to build branches? Do they work to have those branches meeting on a regular basis, reaching out to the communities where those branches are, caring about the concerns and the needs of the people right there at grassroots level in those branches? We are not going to be interested in people who like to just proliferate themselves, who are not prepared to roll up their sleeves and to work, who are not prepared to be out on the streets and engage with our communities, who do not make sure that the structures of the EFF are proper and well established. I think it is a good thing that the decision was taken that it has to be 10% for every branch to eventually go into conference. Now, I know that some of the branches may even have, in terms of a numerical number, more numbers that they succeeded to get during the elections than others that got the 10%. But as the CIC said, it's 10% for 10 years. But more importantly, it is giving us a target to work towards, to make sure that we are established in our branches, make sure that our leadership have committed themselves to a clear target, and that we do not go there representing simply our jackets.
Sure.
We have to represent the communities in which we live, in which we work. The EFF is known as the organization that care for the people. When someone has a problem in a street where there's a sewage leakage, when a mother cannot get her child into a school, when there's a labor dispute, who are the first people that those communities who are experiencing those problems think of? The EFF. Now, of course, it is sad that sometimes they think of the EFF and benefit from the hard work and the commitment of the EFF, and then they don't vote for the EFF. But our commitment must always be to reach out to our communities. And our commitment must always be to turn that work that we do to help someone who has got a labor dispute, who help someone who's got a problem with service delivery, then to turn that work that we do into an action of recruitment, to get those people who benefit from our preparedness to assist and to build communities and to work for service delivery, to turn that into membership.
Yeah.
So we must understand where our strengths are. Our strengths are amongst the youth. We must continue to build out the youth component of the EFF. But the EFF is a party for the whole of South Africa. So we must also continue to reach out to the workers, because the EFF is a workers' party. The EFF is a party of the poor. The EFF is a party of the oppressed and of women who are oppressed. There's no other political party that takes clearer positions against gender-based violence. No other political party that makes sure that we have sanitary pads on every seat at every rally that we have. Those are commitments that we have concretized, and we must continue to build on them. Where there's opportunists, those opportunists will show themselves up. And then we must say to them, in the words of our Commander-in-Chief, as he said last Monday in Orlando, if you want to go, go. Because we are better off to be without those who are not truly committed to the full cause for economic liberation in our lifetime than to have free riders, to have egoistic people, to have opportunistic people who are there in the EFF for self-advancement and not for the cause of the struggle of the economic empowerment and liberation of our people.
You know, hearing such a superior logic, Comrade Carl, makes me realize that I've made the most solid and sound decision ever in joining the EFF. Now, can you just demystify the term betrayal? What do you understand about the term betrayal, and how does it manifest itself in the political landscape now, considering the departure of the former deputy president of the EFF, Floyd Shibambu, and the relationship he had with the commander-in-chief in co-founding the Economic Freedom Fighters? Now, how do we see betrayal playing out?
You know, Titus, betrayal, one must understand always in the context of that old saying, the personal is political and the political is personal. So on one level, if you and I am close comrades and friends, I'm not going to exploit you. I'm not going to depend on your goodwill to advance myself. I'm not going to look at you as an obstacle for my ambitions to become a leader. Because the personal is a comradeship in friendship. And that personal must also be defined in what Che Guevara said, that there can't be a revolutionary that hasn't and doesn't have true feelings of love. So the love friendship amongst comrades, amongst fellow fighters, not to advance and to go and step on the shoulders and on the bodies of others in order to promote yourself, is critical. And if you do that, you betray. And you will find out that that personal betrayal will then also translate into ideological betrayal. It will also translate eventually into a lack of commitment to the basic and fundamental 7 cardinal pillars of the EFF, to that commitment for the economic empowerment and liberation of our people in our lifetime. Because if you can't be true and honest to your fellow brother, to your fellow comrade, to your fellow sister, you're not going to be true and honest to the rest of your fellow South Africans. There's an old saying, look at me how I do things in my personal life, the personal relationships. What I do here at a personal level is exactly how I'm going to behave eventually also on the bigger canvas of the political environment. Now, I saw that there was a statement by Floyd Shibambu that this was the best ideological and political decision that he had ever taken. It can't be. I'm not here to attack the MK party because we are partners in the Progressive Caucus in Parliament. But we're also political opponents in the bigger canvas of the whole of South Africa. The CIC stated that creative tension that there is between us as opponents, campaigning in elections and opposing each other, but at the same time working together in the Progressive Caucus in the National Assembly and in the National Council of Provinces. But is there anything ideologically that you can tell me today, as you sit here and I sit here, that the MK party is more progressive, ideologically clearer, founded on a stronger foundation than the economic freedom fighters?
Not convinced at all.
I can tell you the answer is, and I'm going to use that word that you say I love so much, is an unequivocal no.
Yes.
It is not.
Absolutely.
So it couldn't
The
be,
writing is on the wall.
couldn't be an ideological decision because there was no move, there was no decision, there was no act in terms of moving forward to a more progressive place, because that place is not more progressive. Yes, that place is part of the progressive left, but that place does not have the ideological foundations of the EFF. Because there was no move, there was no decision, there was no act in terms of moving forward to a more progressive place. Because that place is not more progressive. Yes, that place is part of the progressive left, but that place does not have the ideological foundations of the EFF. It does not have the constitution of the EFF. It does not have the 11 years of strong organized and proper organizational structures. Proper organizational structures. That place of spur of the moment decisions, that place is a place full of contradictions.
The MK party.
Now, what did I do now when I said this to you? I didn't say anything new to you. Remember a couple of months ago, I sat in this same chair and I said, I made a deliberate decision
Join the MK.
not to join MK. While I knew that MK was registered already as a party and was going to be launched by President Zuma. It was not that I didn't know. I made a deliberate decision not to join. Why did I say so?
Unequivocally.
I said I made that decision because of the ideological soundness, the ideological foundation of the EFF, which is not present in the MK party. I made that decision because of my understanding that you need in a political party discipline, you need democracy, you need representative voting within branches, in regions, in provinces, at national level. You need a constitution. That was the second point I made that day. The third point was, we need to have young, progressive leadership. We can't continue with the old leadership of the past. And I included myself even as part of that older leadership. And I said, my role, as I've deliberately decided, unequivocally so, to join the economic freedom fighters, is one, to be there to work and support. Not to have ambitions for leadership, but ambition to contribute, to sacrifice, to make the best contribution that I can make at this stage in my life at the age of 64. And I told you, the conversation that I shared with President Zuma when I told him, President Zuma, I've made the deliberate, clear decision that I'm not joining the MK party. I'm joining the EFF because, Baba,
You want to
at
save
your
the
age,
ANC.
I also said, at your age, why don't you support the EFF? Why don't you support young, progressive, strong leadership as is encapsulated by the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF, President Julius Malema? And all those points were the points that informed my decision and keep me without a single shred of a doubt in the economic freedom fighters. I was very angry when I heard that day when the press conference took place where Floyd Shivambu announced that he is leaving the EFF and joining MK Party, that Samkelo Maseko of the SABC said in one of his interviews on SABC News that he understands I'm also going to leave. Very angry. Samkelo and I have a good relationship. But if he was sitting here today, he will tell you I called him and I shouted at him. I said, how dare you? Because I've never participated even in a single word of a single discussion to even express any doubt whether I should remain in the economic freedom fighters. And then I immediately issued a denial, and I did a video, and I'm sure you saw the video. And that video expressed very clearly my understanding that the only truly left, ideologically well-grounded economic emancipatory movement in South Africa is the EFF. That it can be my only political home. I won't be able to have any other home. I made a deliberate decision to join the EFF. The logic of my decision, after I was expelled from the ANC and after I decided, after I appealed that expulsion, to leave the ANC, the logic of the short while that I established the African Radical Economic Transformation Alliance as a bridge, always had that we must create unity under a strong, progressive, organizationally sound, revolutionary movement. And the only movement that can play that role is the EFF. So today, as I sit here with you, I remain of exactly the same conviction. Yes, I'm in the National Assembly, and I'm very grateful that there was the trust given to me, because the last time when we spoke in this podcast interviews, I was not yet a member of the National Assembly, a member of Parliament. I'm very grateful to the trust that the members, the fighters of the EFF, the leadership, and especially the Commander-in-Chief had put in me after I've only recently joined the EFF to place me in that position that I can serve in the National Assembly. But I will also continue to work in the Progressive Caucus.
Absolutely.
Of course. We want to put up the best, the strongest, the most coherent, the most left united opposition to this farcical government of national unity, which is no government of national unity at all, but simply a grand coalition between the ANC and white supremacists. But I'm very clear that I will do so as nothing else but a fighter of the EFF. And in the pursuit of that unity, in that work that I will also do in the context of the Progressive Caucus, my main aim, my main duty, my main responsibility is towards the EFF. Because it's the EFF that will ultimately make sure that the people of South Africa are not betrayed. You are not there on the basis of commitment to individuals. You are there on the basis of commitment to a strong ideological foundation, to a clear foundational document such as the founding document of the EFF, such as the 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars. That is why you're there.
Mm-hmm.
That is what you have to promote.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever work you do, whether you are in the National Assembly, whether you find yourself in some of the activities
Mm-hmm.
of the Progressive Caucus,
Mm-hmm.
and especially when you're out there campaigning on the streets of South Africa for the EFF,
Mm-hmm.
you are first and foremost there with a duty to promote the ideas, the ideology of the EFF, and to be loyal
Absolutely.
to the leadership of the EFF
Mm-hmm.
and loyal to the commander-in-chief of the
Mhm.
EFF, President Julius
Yeah.
Malema.
And as a loyal member of the EFF myself, my blood remains red, absolutely red.
Absolutely.
Will you be buried in an EFF flag? Will your coffin be wrapped in an EFF flag, Comrade Carl?
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And
Mhm.
I'll tell you why. Because the EFF gives expression to the life that I've lived.
Mhm.
There's no contradictions here. I see there are people who say, oh, you moved from the ANC, then there was the short interlude of Areta, then you went to the EFF.
Mhm.
The ideals for which I joined the liberation struggle in South Africa when I was 19 years old, on that little hill, that little kopje outside Gaborone, the national liberation struggle, but also the liberation struggle for the people of the whole African continent, are the ideals of the EFF. And that is why I joined the EFF. This is my ultimate home. The EFF, the fighters of the EFF, has shown me great love. That revolutionary love, as I said earlier, that Che Guevara referred to.
Mhm.
The commander-in-chief has shown me the greatest of love and loyalty. He has embraced me. There's no need for him to do so.
Mhm.
But he did so out of being a person with a big, warm heart,
Absolutely.
being a revolutionary,
Mhm.
of someone who saw in me a person with the same ideals that he has.
Mhm.
So how can I then betray that?
Mhm.
You know, Mzonele Manyi was very angry with me because I wrote a short note on X. And
Or
I didn't want
expressing
to,
your
I
disappointment.
didn't want to
yeah.
attack him.
Mhm.
I was disappointed. I was actually hurt. I was hurting also for our organization and for our commander-in-chief. Because in the same way that I was received with revolutionary love and support, Mzwanele was received with revolutionary love and support.
Mhm.
There are fighters out there that will tell you that they had to take bullets for Mzwanele. Because there were people who said, but how can Mzwanele just come in here,
Mhm.
be parachuted in,
To Parliament. Yeah.
and suddenly go to Parliament?
Mhm.
And they stood their ground, they fought for him. The commander-in-chief himself stood his ground and fought for him and defended that decision
Mhm.
to place Mzwanele in Parliament.
Mhm.
That is not the way in which he behaved
Mhm.
to say thank you for such revolutionary love.
Mhm.
And that is all I was saying.
Yeah.
It was not a situation that I have a deep and ugly feeling and preparedness and willingness to attack Mzwanele. No.
Mhm.
You can hear tonight, I'm keeping myself also careful in terms of the words I use
Mhm.
when I talk about Floyd Shivambu.
Mhm.
He's still here on the photo there. 10th anniversary, walking next
Yeah.
to the commander-in-chief.
Mhm.
We know his history. I'm not interested in going into personal attacks. But when there's betrayal, when there's anti-comradeship, when there's acts of anti-revolutionary love, when there is lies that you leave because of ideology
Yeah.
or political commitment,
Yeah.
when we know, as I've just said, what and who the economic freedom fighters is, then you have to call it out. Not because you want to attack the person,
Yeah.
but you have to stand
Yeah.
on the ideology.
Sure.
You have to stand on the principle. You have to reassert the revolutionary love and ideological commitment that is the heartbeat of this beloved organization
Yeah.
of ours.
And I must say that we should be able to give the CIC, Julius Malema, his flowers when he's still alive. I mean, I'm one of the persons who have benefited from his revolutionary love in hosting this EFF podcast. Now, would you say that the former DP sold out the struggle of economic emancipation?
I would say that the former DP of the Economic Freedom Fighters has behaved in a way that placed personal ambition and ideological self-advancement above ideological, political commitment. And I would say it is a strange thing for someone who is so clear in his articulations that he is a Marxist Faninist to have done so. That's all I'm going to say. I think those words will let you understand what my view is, whether he's sold out or not.
So you want me and the viewers to read between the lines?
No, I think it's not that I'm trying to
Yeah.
be complicated. It's not that I'm trying to obfuscate.
Yeah.
But for me, the essence of this chapter lies in the words of our Commander-in-Chief. When he said, I was told by Floyd Shivambu that he's done this out of an ideological decision. He says, I don't believe him. Now, that second part of that sentence, I don't believe him, what does it mean? It means that there's a fundamental contradiction. And I think each one of us as members of the EFF need to take that to heart.
Yeah.
And we need to ask ourselves, when we are placed in terms of our own personal conduct, how we operate within our organization, by that test, will it be possible to be said of us that we acted out of ideological commitment, out of conviction, and not for the sake of personal advancement? Because if I act for personal advancement, me, Carl, you, Titus, any one of us in the EFF, then we will betray the struggle. Then we will commit that kind of action that is not serving the people of this country and is not in progress of full liberation,
Yeah.
economic liberation
Yeah.
of our people. So, personal advancement is a betrayal of the struggle. There is no ideology in this. It was personal advancement. It's sad.
Quite sad indeed.
But let us look forward now. Because as the Commander-in-Chief said, we can go through a period of mourning. But there's also a time when the mourning comes to an end. There's a huge amount of work to do. There are structures to rebuild. There are branches to build. There are, in the short term, by-elections to win. In the medium term, there's the national big conference coming up. Let us work in all of those events, medium, long term, whatever we do.
Mhm.
And every morning when you look in the mirror, ask yourself, am I busy with a commitment to the people, for the empowerment of the people, for the implementation of the ideological sound foundations of the EFF?
Mhm.
Or am I busy with promoting myself?
Mm.
And the
Quite
morning
profound.
you look into that mirror
Yeah.
and you have a question mark,
Mhm.
you better start adjusting your conduct
Yeah.
in order to make sure that you do not end up
Absolutely.
where Floyd Shivambu and where Mzwanele Manyi has ended up.
Yeah. Quite a trap. But well, we shall
No,
see what
it's-
the future
I
holds for
think
them.
It's not here for us
Mhm.
to come and try and turn them into ogres.
Mhm.
We can talk in sadness, but out of every challenge, out of every dilemma, there's always a lesson to learn.
Mhm.
And for me, the biggest lesson to learn here is this fundamental challenge of making sure that your own ego, your own personal ambition,
Mhm.
never overwhelms your ideological commitment and the soundness
Mhm.
of your politics,
Sure.
of your ideology.
Yeah. You
That's why, sorry, Titus, I'm
Mhm.
talking a little bit over you.
it's fine.
That's why the speech of the Commander-in-Chief last Monday at the Orlando Community Hall was so significant.
Mhm.
Because some people said, well, he spent a lot of time attacking. No. Go and do a proper content analysis.
Mhm.
90% of that speech was dedicated to organizational matters. It was about how the organization must be built, what the commitments are that we have to make,
Mhm.
how we are going to succeed to get through this difficult time and emerge an even stronger organization. That's what the speech was all about.
Mhm. And you have taken to acts stating that you do not blow with the wind. What do you mean by that?
I'm not blowing with the wind of people who say,
Mhm.
here's a new political party.
Mhm.
It has gained more votes than the EFF. It is now the official opposition. Go with it. Because it has more votes, because it is the official opposition, it's got more places. It's got more potential for you to advance yourself.
Mhm.
If you go like that, then you blow with the wind. Because wherever the wind seems to have turned for that moment is going to be the place where you are going to have yourself blown.
Mhm.
That's not me. I stood like my finger alone on that little hill outside Gaborone, joining the liberation struggle
Mhm.
and Umkhonto we Sizwe, not Umkhonto we Sizwe party, the real Umkhonto,
Mhm.
the People's Liberation Army.
Mhm.
That I did in 1979.
Mhm.
I stood for many times inside the ANC, like my finger alone, opposing the selling out inside the African National Congress.
Mhm.
Like this. Because I had to make a personal decision with which I can live with. When I know that Cyril Ramaphosa is a sellout and agent, I went and stood outside the ANC NEC meetings at Nazareth, like my
Alone.
finger alone.
Mhm.
And I said, Ramaphosa must go.
Mhm.
I stuck to my guns.
Mhm. Because you do not blow with the wind.
I didn't blow with the wind.
Mhm.
And that's why when we had the short interlude of Areta, and I said, look, Areta must contribute to the unity
Mhm.
of our left, not to the fractioning and breaking up.
Mhm.
Areta doesn't deserve to stand alone when there is a strong party such as the Economic Freedom Fighters. We must go there. And I went to the executive of Areta and I said to them, I'm not going to make things easy for you. I'm not going to say we as Areta, as an organization, like a Lego piece that you can pull out there and plug in there. Here we go now to the EFF. Each one of you are going to make your individual decision. And you're going to explain to yourself first and foremost, and then to everyone else, why you are joining the EFF. Because when you go there, I want you to be committed to understand the ideology of the EFF, to be truly part of this emancipatory revolutionary movement. I went there, I joined on my own. Everyone else from Areta who wanted to join, who were committed to those ideals, joined. So the long and the short of it, Titus, I've not changed. The young man who stood on that little hill outside Gaborone and who said, I'm here for the full economic freedom and liberation of our people in our lifetime, who believed Oliver Tambo when he said that our liberation can never just be liberation from racism, but it must always be also liberation from economic oppression. That young man, today, 45 years later, with his grey beard, sitting in front of you now with the same ideals. I've not changed one iota. I'm still the same man. And because I'm that man, because I believe in those ideals, because I've sacrificed hugely for them. I sat in prison, the ANC rendered me unemployed and poor, all of those things. I was tortured to the point where I lost most of my hearing. But here I stand. It is no mistake. It was not like some kind of, those feathers that get blown in the wind. Not like a feather that was blown and suddenly I blew here and I hit a rock and that rock happened to be the place where the EFF is and now I'm there. No. It was
You're driven
a
by your
logical,
convictions.
clear, unequivocal, deliberate decision to go to the EFF. And that's why I'm not leaving. I will never leave. I'm here until the day I die. I'm loyal to my commander-in-chief. I'm here to work. I'm here to serve. And the day I die, you guys will wrap me in the flag of the EFF and put me in this soil of our beloved African continent.
Profound. Absolutely. The naysayers, the doomsayers, and the detractors of the EFF have duped this moment to say this is the beginning of the end of the EFF. What do you have to say?
As our CIC said, there have been many so-called ends of the EFF. And it never turns out to be the end. Because we are a strong ideological party. We've got a generational mission. We will pull through whatever adversities come our way. And the people of this country will carry us on our shoulders. I've got no doubt, not anything whatsoever, Titus, that in our lifetime, and I'm even prepared to say it in my lifetime, and my lifetime is shorter than the CIC's, at least in terms of what one would expect biologically, because I'm 64. The EFF will emerge as the ruling party and the government of this country. We will go through this difficult time. We will emerge stronger than ever before. Because we learn lessons from the difficulties that we are faced with. We've learned a huge lesson about loyalty. We've learned a huge lesson about the importance of ideology above personal advancement. And the CIC is correct when he says, anyone who's not prepared to walk this route with us, commit to these principles that he spelled out so clearly also in his speech at Orlando, must take their jackets, must take themselves, and loop. Gaan huis toe. I don't know what is the house, where's the place, but go for your own sake, for our sakes. Don't come and impose your insincerity, your potential and eventual manifested betrayal on us. Yeah, we want people sober of heart, clear of mind, ideologically sound, who roll up their sleeves and who work.
As ground forces.
The ground forces of the EFF. And the work must not be to advance yourself. The work must be to advance the people and the people's organization, the Economic Freedom Fighters.
And the generational mission at play, which is to achieve economic freedom in our lifetime.
And that is a generational mission that has a long genesis, roots in the struggles that the CIC and many of the leaders of the EFF had, even in those days when they were still members of the ANC Youth League. All of that history, is what informs and gives roots to this generational struggle and this generational mission that we have. And we will make true on that mission. There is no ways it is not going to happen. And I think we are very privileged, and I want to say this tonight, to be led by someone with the strength, with the integrity, the ideological commitment, but also the ability to stand up and to fight that we have in our Commander-in-Chief. Our Commander-in-Chief is a human being. He felt the pain of the betrayal, but he was not conquered and defeated by that pain. He still called on us. In that speech, again, I refer to the speech at Orlando Community Hall. Do not lose your belief and your trust in humanity. We have a leader who's a Mensch. And Mensch in German means a true human being. A person who stands by what he believes in and will never betray you. He was right. Not one of the people who've left, not anyone who may want to have their mouths full about our Commander-in-Chief can ever say that he is betrayed. And here I sit. I sit as a witness, as an example of that truth. Everything that CIC acted with me, he acted with me with integrity. He dealt with me always with integrity. Now, to change a little bit the words that I sent to Mzwanele Mandi. How can I, towards someone who acted with so much integrity, so much truthfulness to me and to the people of South Africa, how can I betray? As I said to Mzwanele, that is not a way to say thank you. And remember what you said, we must give the flowers now to the CIC. And what is the way that we can give the flowers to the CIC? The flowers are our commitment to work. To go out tomorrow morning and say, today I'm not going to sleep before I've recruited a number of new EFF members. as I'm involved in this by-election campaign in Ward 87, it doesn't matter whether I have to walk the streets of the northern suburbs and there's one gate after the other closed on me. I will continue to ring the bell. And I will continue to say, when the voice on the other side says, yes, who are you? I will say, I'm here for the EFF. And the best thing, the greatest thing you can do in your life, if you care about this country, whether you're white or black, whether you man or woman, whether you're young or old, is to listen to the message of the EFF and join us on this generational mission and task that we have. And in that way, we will give our flowers to our Commander-in-Chief.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, so you can join the EFF by following the details on the screen so that we ensure that we deliver economic freedom in our lifetime. The details are on the screen. Comrade Mpangazita, have you been approached by perhaps the president of the MK party or anyone from the MK party trying to recruit you into their party? You previously have been known as former President Jacob Zuma's ally.
I've not been approached by President Zuma because President Zuma knows me. He knows what I told him, and I don't think he wants to get straight into his face a no. So no, he hasn't approached me. And I'm glad he hasn't, because it makes it unnecessary for me to say no into his face, which I would if it is necessary. There's been many members of the MK party who has been sending me messages saying I should join the MK party. Perhaps some of them are genuine, but a lot of them are also just simply malicious. They're just trying to drive wedges. They have no intention to care about me joining the MK party. They want to inflict, unfortunately, harm on the EFF. And they're malicious in doing that and not accepting the decision that I've made to join the Economic Freedom Fighters. And my answer to all of them on all these social media platforms is, I'm clear, I've joined the EFF, I'm going nowhere. Respect my decision. Stop disrespecting me with sending these stupid messages to me, because they are stupid. Because anyone who knows me knows that I'm not going to change. I am not going to join the
Please
MK party.
Stop harassing.
Just tell them to stop harassing me, because I have better things to do than to keep on saying I'm not going to join. I've got a more positive message. Why people should join the Economic Freedom Fighters.
In fact, you must blue tick them when they WhatsApp you. You must blue tick them and block them.
I block them sometimes. Sometimes, depending on my mood, I tell them off. Sometimes I put my nice Afrikaans T-shirt on and I smile at them, and you know what it says on the T-shirt?
Is it the
Voetsack.
V word? The voetsack.
It says Voetsack, man.
Yeah.
I'm EFF.
You're
Don't come with your nonsense. I'm EFF. And if there's one message I want to convey through this podcast that we have today, I'm EFF. I'm not going to change. I'm here to stay until the day I breathe out my last breath. And those of you who outlive me, please give me a good EFF burial.
So we shall honor your words and all your wishes, Comrade Carl. Thank you very much for coming through to the EFF podcast. We really appreciate it. I understand you're on the ground, crisscrossing, and I understand you have to fly back to Cape Town to continue with your parliamentary work.
Thank you. And perhaps I should use this opportunity in concluding to thank, first of all, our Commander-in-Chief, the commissars of the EFF, but most importantly, the fighters, the ground forces of the EFF. for their love and for the way in which they embraced me. But the second part of that message is carry your commander-in-chief on your shoulders. Carry him on your shoulders. You do not know how privileged you are to have that man as your leader. Give him his flowers by working day and night to build the EFF. So my last words are words of thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As I've said before, the EFF is my home. And this is, and it continues to be, the happiest time of my political life, of my long political life. Isn't it wonderful that when one reaches 64, when you've been 45 years in politics, you can say, I'm home. Now I'm truly happy.
Yeah.
And this is the gift that the EFF has given me.
Yeah. And now, thank you. And today, the EFF has turned 11 years, as you can see at that backdrop. I think we're going to change that, take that down to 11. What do you think, Comrade Carl? It's 10 years there? It's written 10 years?
11, because
Should become
it is
11.
11.
And then here, the backdrop? What must change?
There are some interesting Photoshop techniques, but perhaps for the sake of history
Okay.
and also for the sake of reminding us
okay.
of where we come from, of reminding us also that personal ambition should not override ideological commitment. It is good to keep this picture.
All right. Thank you very much, Comrade
Thank
Carl, for coming through. We really appreciate your wisdom here on the EFF podcast. Thank you very much, the people of South Africa, Africa, and the world. So you've heard Comrade Carl remains a loyal member of the Economic Freedom Fighters. So I am. I hope you too will remain a loyal member of the Economic Freedom Fighters. The details are on the screen. Please, if you wish to join the Economic Freedom Fighters, there is the form you can see. You can go to your nearest branch, or you can join the EFF online. You can also visit us on our website for more information. This is the EFF podcast, and I am Titus Tsungu. So what is the song of the day that we're wrapping the show with today?
Let's play the song that AfriForum gets so angry about.
Yeah.
And I want to hear the version where our commander-in-chief is singing the full song as he was taught it by Peter Mokaba, as I was taught that song by Peter Mokaba. And it must say also, kill the Boer, kill the farmer, shoot to kill. Not because I am a bloodthirsty person, but because we understand our history and we understand who our real enemies are. Not whites, but those who are representative of this so-called superior race called the Boer and white monopoly capitalists.
Yeah, AfriForum will be very angry listening to this. Thank you
Tough
very much.
luck.
Thank you very
Tough
much.
luck.
We're done here. My name is Titus Tsungu. Until we meet again, good.
Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the Boer, the farmer. Kill the Boer, the farmer.